G'day guys, I'm very excited to announce the relaunch of my Etsy store with a range of 3D prints, notably my Red Butcher's Terminators, which sold out within the first 4 hours of my previous launch. I've been busy working away on the 3D printer to build stocks back up so that I can do another launch and get these models shipped out to you guys ASAP. So in today's video, I wanted to do a little bit of a showcase of the various prints that I have available because I have expanded the range since my previous launch. So with that being said, let's get stuck into it.
Look for the blood god.
Alrighty guys, I'm going to show you a few different prints that I have available on my Etsy store. We've got the Terminators, which you've seen before, but I'll show you those in a little bit more detail because I've increased the scale and I've fixed up some of the print problems, so these are a new sculpt. I've also got some Khorn berserkers there, various different dreadnought designs, a demon prints, a whole bunch of different stuff that you can grab on my Etsy store. Now it's worth noting that these won't all be available at all times because it'll depend on how fast I can print them and how much demand there is for them. However, intermittently these will all be available on my Etsy store. So if you like any of these designs, make sure to head over there, bookmark the page and check back regularly if the thing that you're looking for is not currently listed as an option on the store. We've also got dice and objective markers and stuff like that available on the store as well, but this video we're talking about the sculpts. So let's first have a look at the most popular thing that sold out within 4 hours, my Red Butcher's Terminators. Alright, so you'll notice that we have 5 different Terminator sculpts. We've got 3 guys that have a combi weapon and a power fist. You'll notice a few features on here. We've got the crests on the top. We've got World Eaters style helmets with the or heads with the butcher's nails. We've got the cataphracti army as the Red Butchers were known to wear. We've also got World Eaters style shoulder pads on there, and we've got a World Eaters crest along the front of the torso here. And that's just to make it so that these Red Butchers look more in line with what you would expect in a World Eaters army. One of the reasons that I designed these guys was because I was sick and tired of Thousand Sons players and Death Guards players having their own bespoke Terminator kit that suits their faction while we were stuck sharing the same Terminator sculpt as the vanilla Chaos Space Marines. As much as I love that vanilla Chaos Space Marine sculpt, it really did feel that the World Eaters Terminators, they play very differently on the tabletop, so I felt like they needed to be reflected in a different style of Terminator, which is why I made these Red Butchers. I've kitted these guys out with what I believe is the most competitively viable loadout, which is the Chain Fist and the Autocannon on one guy, dual curse weapons on another guy, and then a Power Fist and combi weapon on every other guy. So this way you don't have to think about it, you just get the kit, it arrives fully assembled, and they're already ready to go with the correct weapons loadout. These guys are made with a combination of STLs that I found online, things that I've modified, things that I've adjusted myself, so they're a relatively unique sculpt that you won't see anywhere else. However, if you want to, you can gain access to the STLs to download yourself over on my Patreon. We'll go into some more details on that later. In addition to these Terminators, I have now listed my Khorn berserker sculpts. Now, these are the designs based around Heresy era armor, and they're designed to sort of go with the Red Butcher's Terminators with that Heresy theme stretched across the rest of your army. I designed these guys back when the World Eaters Codex first dropped, and the idea here was that they have 2 melee weapons, which used to be a war gear option for them. However, they're still perfectly legal as long as your TO approves them, which almost all TOs worth their salt will, because these are absolutely fantastic models, and rule of cool applies here. Again, these guys are designed with various different kits that I've downloaded, paid for, put together, modified to create a unique World Eaters kit that's got everything you need to make these guys look absolutely fantastic. And just like with the Red Butchers, these guys will be delivered to you fully assembled and ready to go. All you need to do is throw some paint on them and they're good to go. So no need to stuff around with glue, no need to stuff around with clipping things off the sprues or pulling off supports from your 3D printed models. These guys will arrive fully assembled. As much as I do love the World Eaters kit that's been released by Games Workshop, I am also a huge fan of that Heresy era plate. I think it sits really, really well with the World Eaters because you can imagine them still kicking on in the same armor from the Heresy. They don't have the luxury of the manufactorums of the Imperium to replenish their armor with new updated designs, so I like the idea of them still rocking that really cool Gothic Heresy plate. The Berserker's kit comes with 8 different designs. I will produce 10 models in the kit that I sell, but it's only 8 different designs, and it's worth noting that this design doesn't have the Eviscerator, the two-handed Berserker chainglaive, because at the time of design, that wasn't part of the kit, so you're going to have to modify that up a little bit. In the future, if demand is high enough, I may look into producing a model that I can put into the kit to make that right. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section below, and if the sales for this kit is high enough, then I'll look into doing that design for you as well. In keeping with the whole heresy themed armor set, I've got this really cool Hellbrute, or a old school box dreadnought, and he's designed to look really cool, chaos designs, and he's got the twin chain fists, the twin flamers, which is in my opinion, the most competitive loadout for the Hellbrute. And this way, you don't have to have a full heresy plate style World Eaters army with Hellbrutes that are all demonic and mental. You can have that heresy theme continue throughout your army with a really cool box dreadnought. And for these, I also have 3 different designs. I'm a huge fan of these old box dreadnoughts. They take me back to when I first started out in 40k, and there was the really cool chaos looking dreadnoughts, and they were these big metal bricks that were heavy as hell. These guys are also quite heavy because they're printed in solid resin. They're not hollowed out or anything like that. So they're a hefty, durable, and chunky piece that's really, really cool and in theme with that old school Chaos Space Marine vibes. This guy in particular is inspired by the old World Eaters Dread, which was one of the first things that ever got me into World Eaters in the first place. I really like that World Eaters logo on his chest, and just like with everything else in this list, these are designs that are made from a compilation of components that I've downloaded from various different designers, from various different producers, and then I've combined them together, modified them, played with the scale, smoothed out certain areas, and am printing them and selling them to you guys. Now, if you really want to go hard on the Heresy era style of your army, then you can't look past the classic Contemptor Dreadnought. And once again, I've got 3 different designs of the Contemptor here that I've modified. This was one of the very first things I did when I got my very first 3D printer, was come up with these really cool Contemptor designs. Now, unfortunately, the Contemptor model has been legended and is not part of the World Eaters range for competitive tournament games. However, if you want one of these designs, they're up on the store, and you can still grab one for casual games of 40k, or you can proxy it and use it to represent a Hellbrute. So you've got plenty of options if you want to play this model, and if you want to have a themed army that's really cool and is built around that Heresy era style. You'll notice that this lad's wielding a chain axe, which is just such a cool thing for a dreadnought to be doing, and he also has this really cool harpoon spear in his left hand. This is inspired by the warhounds of the Titanic legions, where they would basically get a whole bunch of warhounds that would spear down larger titans and pull them to the ground. So I basically got this spear from the Blood Slaughterer kit and modified that so that it would fit on the arm of a Contemptor Dreadnought. You could use this to proxy as a multi-melter or a las cannon or a melee weapon, whatever's in your list, and as long as your opponent's cool with it, then there's no problems here. It's a really cool looking model that you can totally see this guy advancing and charging up the battlefield and getting stuck into combat. Speaking of Heresy era dreadnoughts, I also have 3 designs for the Leviathan dreadnought. Now this guy is massive, he's really, really big, really, really chunky, really intimidating, and makes for a great centerpiece. Again, unfortunately the Leviathan datasheet has been legends, so you can't use this in tournaments and competitive games of 40k, but if you're just kicking around with your mates and you want to have a really cool game with some really sick models, this guy's a fantastic centerpiece. He's been kitted out with a chain axe just like his Contemptor buddies, which has been scaled up to be massive, and it's really, really intimidating to look at. And then also, he's got that butcher cannon, so he's able to put down some firepower, clear your opponent's chaff units, clear anyone who's trying to run away from him, and he's just a really intimidating and cool, big, chunky monster that you can have on the tabletop. Again, you can see that I've got the 3 different designs here. All of them have a really cool World Eaters crest to give them that red butcher look. They've got the shoulder pads with the World Eaters symbols on them. They've got the chain axe. They've got the chest with the different symbols on them. There's really cool stuff here, and all designed to just be a lot of fun and a lot of cool sort of Heresy era style. And then lucky last, we have a Demon Prince model. Now, again, one of the challenges I have with the current Demon Prince model is that it doesn't look really that 40k. It looks kind of more like, obviously, an Age of Sigmar 40k hybrid model, and you want something a little bit more 40k when you're dealing with the World Eaters. So we've got this guy here, who is a demon prince covered in skulls. He's got a jetpack instead of wings. He's got a chain axe instead of a demonic axe, and he's just looking gnarly as, with very clearly Space Marine armor that's been corrupted and contorted by the warp. So if you want to get a demon prince to lead your army, this guy's a great place to check it out as well. And that wraps it all up, guys. So if any of those models look interesting to you and you would like to pick them up, head over to the Etsy store and you can buy them there. Listings are available for all of them right now. However, it's going to be difficult for me to predict what's going to be popular and what's not. So you're going to have to bear with me. If there's something that you want that's been shown on the screen here that wasn't listed at the store when you got there, that means I've sold out. In which case, you can just send me a PM on the store saying, hey, I want one of these, I want one of these, I want one of these. And then I will get to work towards printing them and updating the listings so that you guys can pick up those kits. Now, it's worth noting that this is a very exciting and new venture for me. I'm not a commercial 3D printer. I'm a YouTuber slash wargamer. So this is a really exciting opportunity for me to step out and sort of try to create some different revenue streams for the channel, which I can then take that revenue and put it back into buying more printers to increase the range, and also buying new cameras and audio equipment so that I can increase the quality of the content. And hopefully, if this kicks off and I start making enough money from it, I'll be able to leave my day job and be able to use the money from the 3D printing stuff to supplement the YouTube content, which means I'll be able to produce more YouTube content because I'm able to produce this video right now whilst the 3D printer is buzzing in the background. So that means that I'll be able to produce more and more and more content for you guys to consume. So if you want to support the channel, one of the ways that you can do that is by heading over to that Etsy store and picking up some kits. It's also worth noting, like I said, I'm not a commercial 3D printer, so I'm still working out the bugs and the kinks. There may be the occasional misprint that, is going to require a little bit of repair. There may be the occasional, challenge. There may be short supplies on some sort of things where I'm not able to produce enough, so there'll be moments where certain products won't be available. Bear with me, I'm sort of still finding my feet on this, and I hope you guys come along for the journey with me, and this is something that we can sort of do together and have a little bit of fun with it, and hopefully, generate a little bit of money that can help support this channel and continue to grow together and build better. So with that being said, I'm going to leave it here. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. Oh, actually, there was one more thing I wanted to mention before I go, which was that if you want the STLs for any of these, if you happen to have a 3D printer at home and would like to print these yourself, or if you would like to download the STLs so that you can then engage one of your mates who has a 3D printer, or another commercial printer that's going to be able to produce these on a really high scale and a really high volume, then you can get the STLs by joining my Patreon. I think it's $10 a month is the tier that gets you into the Discord community, and then in that Discord community we have a thread that's got all of these files free to download, so you don't have to worry about it. Once you're in that community, everything in there is free, and that's going to allow you to download these, play with them, maybe modify them a little bit yourself if you want to, and get them printed yourself without having to go through the Etsy store, dealing with postage, dealing with all of the mess that comes with that. You'll be able to sort of gain access through that revenue, and then hopefully when you do that, you join the Discord, you'll stick around and have some good conversations in there with some good blokes, maybe pick up some strategic and tactical advice from myself, and have an absolute blast sharing memes and having a laugh. So with that being said, I'm going to leave it here. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
One for the Blood God.